Hello everyone. Today's topic is keys in a relational database. And these are the content. First, we will listen database keys, objective of database keys, and third, types of database keys. So what is the need of database key? In a relational database, it is easy to identify a particular column. However, we need a mechanism to identify a particular row in a database relation. So for this concept, we use database keys so that we can easily identify each row uniquely. Like this, in this table, there are several attributes and many rows. So we can easily name the rows, but what about rows? So for uniquely identify each row, we need keys to uniquely identify them. Now, what is database key? This is the definition. A database key is an attribute or a set of attributes in a particular relation that can uniquely identify each row, or you can say tuple, in that relation. There are three primary objectives of database key. First, it ensures each tuple in the database table is uniquely identified. Second, establish and enforce various types of integrity within the database. Third, it helps us to establish the relationship between tables. Now, next is types of database keys. Mainly, there are 7 keys in DBMS, and each key has its own different functionalities. First, super key, candidate key, primary key, composite key, secondary key or alternate key, surrogate key, and then foreign key. So we will go through one by one. First is super key. Now let's see the definition. A super key is set of one or more attributes that allow us to uniquely identify a row or a tuple in a relation. Super key is a set of attributes of a relation schema R with the property that no two tuples T1 and T2. T1 and T2 denotes tuple here. In any relation state R should have the same combination of values for these attributes. This is known as uniqueness property. This means that no two tuples should have the same super key. Like in this example, first super key can be roll number, first name and last name. Second super key can be roll number. Now, next is candidate key. A candidate key is a minimal super key that can identify each row or a tuple of a given relation uniquely. And you can say that candidate key must be a minimum number of attributes that are definitely needed to identify each row. So next is the set of all possible candidate keys is known as the candidate key set. Consider a relation student where there are several number of attributes like Aadhaar number, roll number, first name, last name, address, date of birth, gender, mobile number, or email ID. So out of these attributes, below are the candidate keys. These are the candidate keys. Like candidate key 1 can be Aadhaar card. Next candidate key can be roll number. Next candidate key can be combination of several attributes like first name, last name, or address. Candidate key 4 can be email ID. So these are the definition and example of candidate key. And one thing you can notice that a relation can have any number of candidate key. Next is primary key. A primary key is a constraint in a table which uniquely identifies each row record in a database table by enabling one or more column in the table as a primary key. So what is primary key? When we find out several candidate key, like if in a relation you have 4 candidate key, so it depends totally on database designer to choose one of the candidate key as a primary key. Next, a relation can have any number of candidate key, but only one primary key in a given relation. Some facts to remember about primary keys are: first, it should be unique. Second, it can never be null. And third, a relation can have only one primary key. Next is composite key. Composite key is a primary key consisting of 2 or more columns that uniquely identify rows in a relation. The combination of columns guarantees uniqueness, through individually uniqueness is not guaranteed. Like in this table section, Section name and department ID both combines to form a composite key. Like section name is one attribute, department ID is second attribute. So both these is a combination of composite key. Next is secondary key or alternate key. These are the candidate key that are left unimplemented. Like out of 4 candidate key, one is chosen to be primary key. What about other 3? These 3 are left unimplemented. So these are known as secondary keys. Now, what is the purpose of secondary key? Secondary keys are used for data retrieval purposes and indexing. Indexing is done for better and faster data searching and retrieval from the database. Like in a student relation, roll number is designated as a primary key. The remaining candidate keys, Aadhaar number, email ID, first name, last name, address, are the secondary keys or the alternate keys. These are the left one. These are not considered as a primary key. So these can be used for indexing for faster retrieval. Next is surrogate keys. Surrogate key is a system generated value with no business meaning that is used to identify a record in a relation uniquely. This key is used as a primary key in a given relation when a natural primary key is not available. Like when your primary key is very large or when your primary key is not available. So here comes the duty of your system. It will generate an integer value which has no meaning, which literally has no meaning or any meaning to the data in the relation. And it is always an integer value like timestamp. Whenever our system generate timestamp, it is a kind of surrogate key. So next point is when the primary key is too big or complicated, surrogate keys are preferred. A surrogate key is generated for each unique combination of the primary key. Next is foreign key. When the primary key of one relation is included as a non-unique attribute in another relation, then such database keys is called a foreign key. Like if you consider roll number as a primary key in student table. Now there is another table, department, and when you consider uh, roll number in our department table, in your department table, then department in department table roll number will be considered as foreign key. The primary purpose of the foreign key is to define and create a relationship between the two relation, between the referencing and the reference relation. Now, what is reference and referencing relation? The relation which is being referenced is called reference relation. The relation which refers to the reference relation is called referencing, or you can say parent table or child table. Below is the example. There are two tables, course and department. In course, course ID is primary key, department ID is foreign key. Whereas in department table, department ID is primary key. After referencing in course, department ID becomes foreign key for course table. Now last is unique key. Unique key constraints also defines an individual tuple uniquely in a relation or table. Multiple unique key can be present in a table which can have null values. It can be used when someone wants to enforce unique constraint on a column and a group of column which is not a primary key. And these can also be used as a foreign key for another table. So like in department relation, department name is a unique key, and in course relation, course name is a unique key. That's all for today. Thank you.